Good morning and welcome. It is Coffee and Kayfabe. Our layout is not going to work for us this morning. Apparently, it does not vibe with what we have going on, so we're just gonna go with it, and I'll see if I can fix it on the whim. But welcome to Coffee and Kayfabe this morning on the heels of a pay-per-view down under from Australia. I am Chris. I am joined today by Chase and Mo. Gentlemen, how are we doing this morning?
I'm doing great. Doing great on a Sunday morning. Ready to go.
Chase, how are you, sir? Is Chase talking over there? I see lips moving, but I don't hear nothing coming from him.
I think he might be muted.
He's just living his best life over there, Mo, with some pancakes behind him. What's he acting with those pancakes? Is that Vince McMahon eating pancakes behind Chase on the wall? That's crazy.
That's an impressive stack, though. Oh, oh wow. It's The Rock. I thought The Rock always ate healthy.
Those are keto pancakes. Don't let it fool you, Mo. Don't let it fool you.
Then those aren't pancakes.
But now, can you gentlemen hear me now?
Oh, welcome, Chase.
There he is. Good morning.
Yes. Come on, Mo. You know better, Mo. The Rock smells what you're cooking. Pancakes, Rock. Pancakes.
So, gentlemen, obviously the final pay-per-view heading into WrestleMania is going to, for the most part, shape what we are going to expect heading into WrestleMania. So before we get into it, and we got a lot to get into, right? We're going to go match by match breakdown. We're going to talk about individual performances. We're going to talk about match of the evening. Before we get into any of that, let's just go quick reactions. Chase, overall, what did you think of the show?
It was an all right show. It lacked a lot, but I mean, it was international. We're on the road to WrestleMania. I was super shocked. There was no Rock, there was no Roman. It lacked a lot. Other than the matches were really good. So,
Mo, what are your initial thoughts coming out of the show yesterday?
I'm where Chase is. There was something lacking, but I was entertained by pretty much all the matches, and I'm with him. I don't know if I needed necessarily have to have Rock, but I thought it was odd that there was no bloodline presence there at all. I just thought that was kind of odd.
Hey, let's not forget during the Waller segment they did acknowledge your tribal chief. I guess that was the Roman Reigns reference for the evening. But gentlemen, the show started, excuse me, with the women's elimination chamber match. A lot to get into here, but let's start with the two competitors that started off the match, that being Naomi and Liv Morgan, specifically Naomi. Chase, we're about a month in now to her return to WWE. What is your initial take with her comeback to WWE, where she currently stands in ring wise? The commentary team made a lot of this, not false narrative, but them kind of crafting where she was. She went to refine her tools and her craft is the story that we're taking online with her. What as opposed to she threw a temper tantrum and then came back a year and a half later. I guess this story sounds better. But where are you with her return? What have you made of her since she's come back to WWE at the Rumble? And where do you think she's going to go from here?
Obviously when people come back at the Rumble, very rarely are they highlighted going forward. The Rumble's just, hey, it's a surprise, they're back. And I think that was the reaction they're hoping for with her. I think they got it. I'm excited she's back. And obviously after WrestleMania plays out, I think WWE will do more with her because I know they were really big on her before she left. So,
Mo, if you had to pick one of the ladies from the women's chamber match that stood out in your mind, where are you going?
I might be alone on this, but I really enjoyed Tiffany Stratton. I thought Tiffany Stratton kind of. enjoyed her. I mean, she went for it. Like the very much how Liv Morgan competes. I thought Tiffany Stratton really stood out in my opinion.
So the eliminations in the chamber went as follows. Naomi was eliminated by Stratton. Stratton was eliminated by Morgan. Rodriguez was eliminated by Belair. Belair was eliminated by Morgan. And then Morgan was eliminated by Lynch. Chase, did you think we were going to get more out of having Belair and Rodriguez in this match? Obviously, you have two powerhouses. You have two women that are not only strong, like a Nia Jax, for example, but also very athletic, specifically in Bianca Belair. And I think Bianca had a couple of spots where, she had the one where she flipped off the turnbuckle that got a lot of oohs and ahs from the audience. Did you think we were going to see more from them as far as the strength aspect went? Because I think coming out of this, and maybe you disagree with me, I don't think either of them were really highlighted. I think, in my opinion, the stars of this match were Liv Morgan and Tiffany Stratton. Obviously, Becky Lynch wins the match, and we'll talk about that in a moment. How did you feel Bianca and Rodriguez were used and highlighted in the chamber?
So I didn't really look too much into it. In fact, I'm kind of shocked you're bringing this up. Raquel Rodriguez or Raquel Gonzalez has plateaued since she went on the main roster. I think they had really high hopes for, and for whatever reason, to me, it felt like they had stopped whatever momentum she had because they saw something they didn't like, whatever. Now, obviously, that was like the previous regime. I know Hunter was really big on her in NXT. Hunter actually called her, Raquel Gonzalez instead of Raquel Rodriguez. It's always so funny, like Hunter always talks about like, oh, it doesn't bug me that, my guys from NXT or gals went to the main roster and they changed their names. But it's funny now that, time has passed. Now we're slowly going through and we're changing everybody's name back. It's weird. It's almost, he said he didn't care, but it's almost like he does care. So, but I just, I still think Raquel Gonzalez, Raquel Rodriguez, whatever she's going by now, it is talented. I think there's hope there, but unfortunately for Raquel, because of that plateau she hit, and obviously the gigantic roadblock in her way that is Jade Cargill, Raquel is going to have to take a back seat and find that momentum she had when she came up from NXT again, because there's nothing, like I said, I was super shocked you brought it up. There's nothing that she's going to do yesterday or in the next few months that's going to impress anybody.
Chase, do you think that WWE has a potential roadblock on their hands when you're looking at the women's division? I know it's going to go across two shows, but you mentioned Jade. You have Rhea, who is very much a dominant powerhouse wrestler. You have someone like Nia Jax. You have Bianca, who, although she is super athletic, they do highlight her dominance, and she does often outstrength most of her competitors with shows of strength and whatnot in her matches. Raquel is strictly a dominant force. Do you think we're going to get into a time here where WWE's like, man, we have a lot of the same type of women's wrestler, and someone like Raquel might, completely take a back seat for some of the things you just said, but also because of those five, they can't all get shine, right? Like when you have X amount of the same type of person, you're going to start ranking them and you're going to start dropping off a few off the back end because you don't want everyone in your division being viewed as the powerhouse wrestler. So you're only going to highlight a few of them. Do you think this is what we're going to eventually see with this group of, dominant powerhouse women's wrestlers?
Now, I think with the dynamic that is in WWE right now, like you look at Roman and like what Roman has done, and you look at Bianca, and you look at Rhea, like that's the big thing. Everybody, WWE for decades has tried to recreate the Andre the Giant Hulk Hogan, the Hulk Hogan Ultimate Warrior, those big epic moments where there's just big superstar athletes like Jade Cargill, like Rhea Ripley, like, Bianca Belair. So I don't think they are. I don't think they are anytime soon. Just because you look at that roster with the people that I just named, plus Raquel, plus Tiffany Stratton, plus, all these other like bigger athletic people, bigger than your Liv Morgans, than your Candice LeRae's and stuff like that, who are smaller but very talented in the ring. You're still going to see, as long as the people are eating it up and they're clamoring to that, then no, that is not going to stop anytime soon.
Mo, a lot of the action in the Women's Elimination Chamber picked up after Naomi was eliminated. A lot of the big spots, a lot of the big moments in that match, Naomi was not present for. Did you have any issue with Naomi kind of not getting that shine? Because I think you could argue that there were moments for each of these women after Naomi left. And yeah, she got a little moment early on. She hit a cool split coming off the chamber. That was unique. That was innovative. But a lot of the big moments in this match happened with these 5 women when Naomi was long forgotten and already eliminated. Did you have any issue with that?
No, I think Chase laid out the point. They got a pop from her coming back. She's a old favorite, a familiar face, and I do think there's a role for her going forward. I think that she's probably going to have some more success down the road as a tag team wrestler. She's just one of those feel good wrestlers that they have on a roster that fans really gravitate to. So no, I'm fine with that. Look, in the bigger picture, the competitors that were left, I thought they all just shined. So it's nothing on her. It's really more about what they did. So I think she's got a future down the road. It just wasn't her time.
Chase, for me, my 2 stars of this match, without question, were Liv and Tiffany Stratton. I think they both had ample time and ample spots. They were both very over with the live crowd. Liv is always over with the live crowd for whatever reason. And I'm not taking anything away from her. I love Liv Morgan, but it always, for whatever reason, always kind of surprises me how much over she is at times with the WWE Universe, which I love for her. So for me, the star of this match were those 2 ladies, particularly Stratton's Swanton Bomb, which I did not expect. I thought it was very well executed. And then I was also a big fan of Liv's splash onto Raquel when she was spread across the top turnbuckle. I thought that was a big spot for her as well. Chase, who were your stars of this match?
I'm not going to disagree with you at all. I love Liv Morgan. And the fans are behind her, and for whatever reason, I know WWE tried it, and then WWE tried to back up on it. I think they felt like she wasn't ready, or that Liv didn't have the star power to overshine the upcoming people like Bianca, like Rhea. But I thought she was. And then to piggyback off of what Mo said and what you said, Tiffany Stratton is a star. She is an absolute star. I was not big on her. I thought it was, Vince and his regime's way of saying like, hey, we lost Mandy Rose, but hey, here's another, absolutely beautiful, athletic blonde that we're going to try and push to be our next Mandy Rose. And I was like, man, this might be a recipe for disaster. I went to WrestleMania last year, and I also went to NXT TakeOver last year. I saw firsthand that ladder match. Tiffany has a chip on her shoulder to prove to the rest of people like me who doubted that she is here. She's a star, and she's athletic, and she's going to be here for the long haul. I was blown away by her performance at the Elimination Chamber. Absolutely. And this conversation that we just had backing up 2 minutes ago of them looking for those big athletic, women. Now you have somebody like Tiffany Stratton who throws a wrench in that and says, whoa, wait a second. Like I'm here. Like I'm on the same level as your Rhea's, your Bianca's. Like, come take a look at this. And absolutely blown away. I thought, and before we get into ratings and all that other stuff, I'll say I thought the Women's Elimination Chamber was the best highlight of the night.
No, I'm right there with you, Mo. Who are your stars of this match?
I already led with you guys. I think we're all connected because I thought Tiffany Stratton and Liv Morgan shine. I thought they and sometimes carried some of the other competitors, and those are great competitors. But those two were amazing. Like they really put on a show. And what stood out to me throughout the match, I thought as it played out, and I'm a big fan. Bianca Belair is amazing, but her finisher is probably one of the worst finishers you want to have in an elimination chamber because you are opened up to attack, and it happened over and over and over. Like I think in an elimination chamber, you want a quick strike finisher. Her finisher, it just sets you up to get attacked or something because she was just wide open multiple times. But yeah, those two performers they just outshined some other great performers.
For me, guys, my only real issue with the match was I thought that Raquel should have been the second one out. Obviously, with Naomi, she's not winning. Let's be honest. We all knew Becky was winning the match. But when it comes to the flow of the match, and, sometimes as fans, you look at things and you're like, I know it's going this way, but maybe they'll throw a curveball our way. Well, you knew the curveball wasn't coming with someone like Raquel either. So keeping her in there a little bit longer than, Stratton, that was my one creative takeaway from this match. Raquel should have went second, give Stratton a little extra time in there. But aside from that, like Chase said, I think this was probably the moment of the entire show. For me, I'm going 3.5 stars on this. I thought the women all did their part. I thought they all hit their spots well. I will say, and I know we're not talking much about Becky Lynch. She had a good match. I don't think she particularly had any super standout moments. But at the same time, that they're not going to put Becky in a spot where she's potentially going to injure herself heading into WrestleMania.
Right.
And I think that was pretty apparent. Before we get to your ratings, though, gentlemen, I will say this, and this kind of goes for any elimination chamber. Anytime they do the spot where the person's legs are hanging around the other person's neck and they're just slinging them into the chamber,
Right.
I've seen it done multiple people, multiple different ways. It looks painful as hell every single time. It happened twice in this match, and I felt the same way both times. So I think that's a spot that continuously works in chambers.
It's so
Chase,
mean.
it is. It's always brutal. Chase, where was your ranking here?
So just harped on how much I love the match and whatnot. The big thing for me was how predictable it was.
It was.
And then I know this doesn't have to do with the match, but obviously it's going to have to do with my rating because I can't get out of my head that I don't see the value in Becky Lynch versus Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania. That match doesn't appeal to me. It doesn't, So for that reason, I'm gonna go with I want to give it 3 stars. I want to go 2 3/4, or not stars, cups of coffee. I'll go 3 cups of coffee. I'll go 3. I'll go 3.
Chase, who do you see? Let's kind of push this down the road a little before we get to Mo's rating. Who do you see ending Rhea's reign? Do you think they're going to give it to Becky? If you could hand pick someone, because obviously, and she's not on Roman's level, but they talked about during this chamber match when Liv was coming out, Liv Morgan was the last one to pin Rhea Ripley, and that was a good amount of time ago. So this is very much a mini Roman kind of scenario. So when you build someone up the way you've built Rhea up, obviously whoever is going to beat her is going to get a rub, is going to get some shine. If you're book writing right now, who is that person in your mind? Is it fair to say it's not Becky in your mind? Let's start there.
Yeah. Well, because I get why they're doing it. They want Rhea to beat another big time star. Who better than big time Bex, right?
Right.
But like I said, it just going into this, is there any doubt in anybody's mind right now in the comments or on this show that Becky's going to beat Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania?
She is not.
Okay. And that's my big issue with it. There's I don't know what the match would have been.
Are we setting up for Jade? Is that what we're eventually setting up for here with these two?
So do you put Jade up against Rhea Ripley, or do you put Jade up against Bianca Belair?
That's where I'm at. I'm where Chase is at, because I think if you put Jade up against Rhea, I don't think she's ready for that. I don't think she's there. I'm not even sure she's ready for Bianca, but I think she's got to go through Bianca to get to Rhea.
Yeah,
that's fair.
Yeah,
all right, well,
I think that's the marquee match, is Bianca versus Jade, and somewhere down the road, obviously, love to see Jade versus Rhea.
right.
But I think after that interaction at the Royal Rumble and how that I think the idea is everybody is shipping Jade versus Bianca.
Let's be honest. Rhea is just holding the belt until Charlotte gets back. All right, guys. I mean, I'll say, I'll put it out there. My girl tore up her knee a little bit. When she gets back, the world will be right. Charlotte will take her title, and we'll move on. Mo, how many cups of coffee you giving this?
I'm going with 3. It was solid. You know, the predictability factor and all, it didn't take away from how well I was entertained. So 3 cups for me.
Gentlemen, one of the matches that I thought was the most surprising on this card was the Tag Team Championship match. I don't know how I feel about the new name for this tag team, but I thought, as far as entertainment value went, there was a moment where I was like, huh, are they actually going to give the new Catch Republic the tag titles here? Because there was a couple of moments where it kind of looked that way. And as a fan, that's what you want, right? You don't want to sit there every match and be like, oh, this person's going to win. And then it happens. And there was never a moment where you were kind of, held in belief that could go the other way. So Chase, for me, there was 2 moments. There was 2 moments in this match where I was like, oh, are they actually going to do it? They didn't, obviously. But what a nice performance by Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne. Again, I'm not hot on the new name. I know Corey Graves was really hyping it and trying to get us over on the new name. But these are 2 guys that are extremely talented. I've always been a Pete fan. I like his presentation of his in-ring style with the joint manipulation. It's not something that you see really anyone else in WWE do. I think at times he can overdo it in matches if he goes to it all the time. But for me, I like the overall presentation of it. And I thought that this was overall a pretty entertaining match.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of confused. Like, this was kind of like one of my things when I was watching. Damien's got the Money in the Bank, and the Money in the Bank doesn't have to be decided anytime soon.
No,
but it's like, you've got that briefcase. It's dead in the water somewhere that Damien and Finn are going to turn on one another. It looks like we were getting that for a while, and then the whole R-Truth stuff happened. So now it's like, I feel like we're just kind of like standing in place. Anytime. I remember the first time these 2 locked up for the NXT UK championship. Anytime Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne are in the ring on my TV screen, I'm watching. You want to know what I love? Give me a match of any match with Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne in it for 15, 17 minutes. That sweet spot, 17, 18 minutes. And I'm happy. I mean, that's a show right there. And I'll watch that. I'll watch that over anything else. Just about. I really like watching the Chiefs, but like I said, anytime you put Tyler Bate or Pete Dunne on my screen, I'm gonna watch it. So definitely was a good match. Other than, like I said, I just feel like what are we doing with the Judgment Day with Damian Priest and Finn Balor? Like, here's what I'm afraid is going to happen. This is why I bring it up. I'm afraid we're going to get to next month to WrestleMania, and those 2 are going to have a tag team match on the pre-show. And then WWE is going to turn around and expect us to give 2 shits about Damian Priest's Money in the Bank. And they're going to do the same thing that they did last year with Austin Theory and Otis the year prior, where it's just going to feel like, okay, you won, but now what's the point?
we're treading water. We're treading water because it's clear. Like for a moment, it was clear what WWE wanted to do. You had the rift forming. Balor was involved in the title picture. It all kind of made sense. It made sense why Priest had the briefcase. It was a natural. The story told itself. That's all kind of gone away. Balor is no longer in the big title picture anymore. Priest was never really in the big title picture by himself, except for the fact that he has the briefcase. But even then, there hasn't been any tease cash-ins or anything like that. They really have sunk specifically into the tag team division and this Judgment Day storyline with R-Truth. And Chase, the other part of all this, and it's interesting because a lot of this had to do with where they were in Australia. Rhea Ripley very much was not a part of Judgment Day for Elimination Chamber by design, and we'll talk about that later on. But it's interesting. And also, Dominic has kind of taken a back seat recently with Judgment Day, and he hasn't lost any heat because of this. He still has the heat on him. But with the R-Truth stuff, that's kind of the humor layer of Judgment Day now. Before, it was kind of Dom. He was adding some humor elements to Judgment Day. Now it's R-Truth. Dom lost his singles title in NXT, so he's not getting the ring time that he was getting before. So it seems like there's a bunch of different elements to Judgment Day that are kind of stagnant. And you think it wasn't that long ago, Chase, that, they won the tag titles and they were taking over Raw, right? And they were featured in all these Raw segments. And now you're like, they still got the gold. They're still kind of here, but they don't feel the same that they felt 3 months ago. So you're right, Chase. Like they are kind of treading water. And I think we're just going to get something that out of nowhere at WrestleMania, and we're going to have it forced down our throats, and we're going to have to believe that this was a natural progression to that point, and it's not going to be, to your point. So yeah, we'll see. But Mo, damn, they did not like Dominic Mysterio last night in Australia.
They did not, and that crowd was live. I mean, but wherever, and you know what? Dom is doing his thing, because when people dislike you that much, that kind of reaction, that's priceless. Like everywhere he goes and he hops on the mic, he's not allowed to talk. Not from the raining boos. So I just think that Dom's got that knack where he's the guy you love to hate, and that's a good thing going forward.
You mean to tell me that those boos weren't piped in?
Absolutely not, Chase.
I thought they piped those in. I thought that's what guys on the internet told me that they do. Yeah, it's weird. I've actually been to WWE events, and I'm like, no, like the crowd noise is real. Like the heat that Dominic pulls is real. But like I said, I've had guys on the internet say, no, WWE pipes it in. You can tell watching it on TV. You really think Australia got that loud with boos?
It's amazing. It's amazing to me, Chase, how they just can't give him flowers for what he deserves flowers for. He just is hated. Like, we're not saying he's a great wrestler. We're not saying that he should be doing the Eddie crap. We're not saying he's like his father. Let him just be hated, and let him just acknowledge the fact that you're really good at not being liked. But they won't even give him his flowers for that. They gotta be like, nah, that's fake noise. There's no way he can get that much. Nobody likes him. Like it's almost a backhanded compliment, Chase. Like, we just don't like you.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy that that's his job, and he's doing a fantastic job.
He is.
And this is what drives me crazy is like I said, these weird little wrestling fans that run around and go, oh, Dominic should be, he's not Eddie Guerrero. Well, no, he's not Eddie Guerrero. He's not Rey Mysterio. Well, no, he's not Rey Mysterio. Show me a second generation star or a third generation star that is literally copying the exact same gimmick style that their parents were, and I'll show you somebody who's not in the business anymore. Because
100%.
that's what happened to all of them. You think Randy Orton's out here running around in a cowboy hat and wearing some cats?
I was just thinking that.
I mean, look at Ava Raine in NXT right now. Like, they wanted, fans wanted her to be The Rock 2.0. And no, the worst thing you could do for that poor girl is to tell her, and not just her, it's any second generation, third, fourth, whatever in the business right now. The worst thing you could do is tell them to be exactly like your father or exactly like your parent or grandparent or whatever. Braun Breaker is nothing like Rick Steiner. He is everything like Scott.
Yep.
And that is the best thing for him, because I don't know how long y'all have been watching, but there's a reason why Scott went on a singles run and a world title run and Rick didn't. And that's nothing against Rick. Rick's one of the greatest tag team wrestlers of all time.
Scott was a freakish athlete too, though. He was a freakish athlete.
Exactly. Just like his nephew. So, let's stop with the whole, he's never going to be Ray. People are mad. Wrestling fans have this weird fantasy where you have to go to the indies. You have to put in time on the indies. You have to go to NXT before you can go up on the main roster. That's not for us to decide. If you don't like him, you don't like him. But the heat he draws, there's a huge difference between I hate this person and go away heat. And I'm telling you, for as loud as those boos are and for as hot as that crowd gets every single time he comes out and puts a microphone in his hand, that's good stuff. that's what we want.
You can argue that when him and Ray were tagging together, you can say, fine, he's here because of Ray. He has a spot because of whatever. You can say whatever you wanted about that. But there was going to come a moment when him and Ray feuded, and it happened, and they separated the two. And in that moment, Dom was going to have to do something on his own. And if he failed, if he floundered, if he wasn't getting a crowd reaction, guys, he would have went away. That's what happens. You got a good thing going. It's working. If they choose to, you see it with tag teams all the time. If they choose to break it up and there's going to be a feud and it doesn't hit, it's going to be a consequence for somebody. And it wasn't going to be a consequence for Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio wasn't going to fall off the main roster because the feud with him and Dominic didn't work. So Dominic had to figure it out when that time came. And God damn it, he more than figured it out. He's getting heat that heels coming up in this business thrive upon. They wish they could get that kind of heat. There's established heels that don't get that heat week in and week out. And like Chase said, it's not go away heat. It's not cheap heat. The guy can't even talk. It's not like he's going out and being like, oh, St. Louis, Missouri, the dump of the... No, he can't even get those lines out because they hate him so much he can't speak. And that's a testament to what he is doing. So everyone wants to sit here and hate on Dom. He's doing what others in this business wish they could do week after week after week. And because fans don't like it, because they think he hasn't earned it, that's where they're saying, hey, they're piping in the booze. Gentlemen, for me, I'm going two cups of coffee for this match. It has nothing to do with the actual match itself. I thought the match was fine. But like Chase alluded to, there's no real rivalry between these two teams. This program isn't going anywhere down the road. This was hey, we know that this crowd is going to love these two challengers, which they did. We know that they're going to get a bunch of big pops, which they did. But this isn't where the Judgment Day is going. This isn't where the tag titles are going. So I have to take those things into consideration. So it's 2 cups of coffee for me. Chase?
I like I said, I love anytime Pete Dunne and Tyler Bates on my TV. So I'm going to go a little bit higher. I'm going to go 2 1/4 cup of coffee. Yeah, just a little bit of a quarter in there. So
a little extra sip for you.
Yep, just a little, just that one last sip.
Mo, where are you at, sir?
I'm with Chase, 2 1/4. Look, when he gets Priest on his shoulders and he goes through those rotations, I'm getting dizzy. And he's just going and going and going. And I'm like, what what a show of endurance and strength. I was just in awe. When he does that, I'm in awe of that. And Priest is like what, 270 to a huge man doing something that's amazing.
We have the the Grayson Waller segment. I get why they did it. We had to get, more stars on this show since Cody wasn't booked for the show, since
Right.
Seth wasn't booked for the show, Rock wasn't here, Roman wasn't here. We had to do something with those 4 stars. Half of them weren't even here, so it makes sense to do something with Seth and Cody. For me, Chase, when I saw the segment was announced, my first thought was, cool, they're going to sing their theme songs. Like, that's where my mind first went. The audience is really going to sing both their theme songs, and it's going to be a cool entrance for both of them, which it was. Obviously, the Cody thing challenging The Rock, I didn't expect that, but you figured we were eventually going to get there. Right. So, fine. But I logically, and WWE doesn't do this a lot, but logically, it made sense for Waller not to get involved and defend Theory, which I don't understand why more heels don't do that. When you see the ass kicking isn't meant for you, don't get yourself involved just to get your ass kicked.
Right.
So I thought it was humorous that Waller was like, "Hey, if you don't want to mess with me, that's fine. You do what you gotta do to him."
I actually loved that moment. I thought Waller was like, and I can see him explaining it to him. Like, I saw no point in both of us getting beat down, man. I'm just saying.
Right, if we both get our asses kicked, it doesn't help either of our cases.
Right.
So you just put the whooping on him. And then Chase, obviously, Waller, he's from Australia. So he needed to be on the show. It's his hometown. But for me, I thought the segment was kind of a mess. I didn't think it really got us anywhere except for the Rock challenge, which felt very forced for me. I don't know. I thought, like you said at the top of the show, it was lacking overall, the show was. And I thought we could have done more. I thought we could have done more than this segment with those guys and the Cody delivery for the Rock challenge. I just thought it could have been more than what it was.
Let me ask both of you something. How many matches do you think The Rock has in the tank?
Honestly, with his movie schedule, a couple, 2.
Maybe 2 or 3.
Okay. I would agree, because if we go back 10 years ago, his body broke down. And I'm not saying anything about, like, The Rock is he's in phenomenal shape. He's a great athlete. I'm fat. I wear a 4XL shirt, guys. I'm not in any way, shape, or form critiquing The Rock's ability to move in the ring, but he tore his pelvis the last time he was in the ring and had to finish a match. And that was when they did the whole, he fought Cena one time and then they came back a year later and fought again. So that second time, that was the last match he's had. Last official match he had. I know he had that little beatdown with the Wyatt family at WrestleMania 32. But we're over 10 years ago of his last official match. And let me ask you guys another question. What is the better marquee match here? Cody versus The Rock or Roman versus The Rock?
Clearly,
now I get
Roman Rock.
Right. And I get that fans want, because see, this whole thing is weird because you can't have somebody win the Royal Rumble and then come in and say, well, they're not going to get their Royal Rumble match. Like, that's just not that's bad storytelling. So we would assume that some of this was a part of the plan, right? Some of this had to be a part of the plan. I mean, because we're supposed to be past the Vince era where things are just decided 30 minutes before the show, right? We're going live on TV or we're going live on pay-per-view and there's millions of people watching at home and there's tens of thousands of people in attendance, and we're not changing the show on a whim 30 minutes, 20 minutes, 5 minutes before we go live anymore. So you have to assume that this is part of the plan. I just don't understand how we get there here now. So is Cody going to fight The Rock night one? to earn the right to fight Roman night 2. I feel like this is where we're going. I know Gene has said it, and a lot of people believe it, that we're building towards a tag team match. Does anybody want to see that tag team match? I mean, seriously, is anybody on this panel right here, Mo, Chris, me? Because I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm not.
I'm
If
out.
Rock has 2 or 3 matches left, and
Don't
you're
waste
telling me that you're gonna give us a tag team match before I could see them doing it. I thought maybe they could do a tag team match in Australia, international show, like real big, like what they did in the UK last year for Clash at the Castle, what they did at Backlash in Puerto Rico. I thought, man, this Australia show, if you wanted to do a warm-up match for The Rock, this would be the perfect show to do it. Now, obviously, Seth was injured, whatever. But man, you couldn't even call the head of the board of directors, or not. I mean, a guy who's on the board of directors to come work the show. I don't know, man. Like, I hated this segment. I thought it was pointless. I think Cody challenging The Rock. Like I said, I'm going to try and trust the process. We still got a whole month, a little over a month till WrestleMania. So we know that Rock is going to be involved somehow, whether it's a match, whether it's him being the special enforcer. One of 3 things is going to happen, guys. One, I would love to assume that my prediction is still on the table of night 1, we get Roman and Rock, and then night 2, we get Cody and Roman. That's one possibility. 2 possibilities. We just get Cody versus Roman, and maybe Roman turns Mike Tyson style, and then we ramp up for Minnesota next year at WrestleMania 41, promoting The Rock and Roman. After them missing and that's going to be a problem in itself, because it's like, man, you've missed the mark twice. You've had it twice, and you could have done it, but you chose not to. So, or possibility 3, we get Rock and Cody night 1, and then Roman and Cody night 2. And I guess that's the perfect way for him to finish his story, because he literally went through the ringer to get there. I don't know, but that's my one of 3 things I think will happen. I'm not, like I said, I'm trying to be optimistic. I'm trying to trust the process, but it's weird. I don't see how Cody versus Rock does anything, because that wasn't the match that everybody wanted to see. I think and again, just to circle back, the reason why they had The Rock versus Roman and they decided to go elsewhere was because it didn't make sense. That's why people didn't want it. That's why people wanted Cody to finish his story, is because you had him win the Royal Rumble, and then 3 weeks after the Royal Rumble, you're like, we're going to do The Rock and Roman instead.
Gentlemen, for me,
it can make sense.
I want another year. That's where I'm at. I don't want to see Rock Cody yet. I want to see Rock Cody at SummerSlam. I want to see Rock Cody at Survivor Series. I want to see The Rock cost Cody the match. I want to see Rock fully invested in the bloodline. Then I want a year build up to Rock and Reigns. And I want to see all the funny stuff. I want to see Rock appoint himself as head of the table, and Roman Reigns have to bow down because he's still champion because of The Rock. And I want to see Roman Reigns act differently when The Rock's there for, those 5 or 6 shows leading up, and when The Rock's not there, because then he's the badass Roman Reigns again. I want to see, The Rock pop in every now and then to watch a Roman Reigns match, just so he can see how Roman's doing. And I want to see that funny back and forth. I want to see the slow tension start to build between Rock and Roman. Then you can have the Cody blow-off match at SummerSlam or Survivor Series. I want to see that, and that match is going to come because, The Rock is like, you know what? Maybe let me show you how it's done. You only beat Cody because of me. Let me go out there and beat Cody on my own. And I want to see that kind of stuff. I want to see The Rock, at some point bring Jay back into the family. I want to see all this stuff spread out over a year. And then I want to see Rock and Roman next year at WrestleMania. Because for me, I get Cody finishing his story, but let's say, and Chase, you're probably right. They're going to do it all in the next 42 days. It's going to be Rock and Cody night 1, and it's going to be Cody and Roman night 2, and Cody's going to overcome these ridiculous odds, and he's going to finish his story. But for me, like, you've put 3.5 years into this. Why are you going to rush the end in 42 days? Like, when there is so much meat still left on this bone, and you've already invested forever into this, why rush the ending in less than a month and a half just so we can get there for Cody at this WrestleMania? And that's the issue for me, because you can literally extend this another year if you wanted to, with new wrinkles because of The Rock, with a new dynamic, but you're not going to. And I understand why, because who knows where The Rock is in a year. He's another year older. If his movie schedule doesn't work out, now the whole thing is effed 6 ways from Sunday. So I get it, right? Like, I get why pushing it out a year is a huge risk. And if it didn't work out a year from now, you've totally effed the entire thing, and who knows where we are. So I get, while we have The Rock, we have to take care of it all. But goddamn, like, we're 3.5 years in, and we're gonna rush the end of it. Like,
so he's a pivotal part to the company. I don't think he's gonna go anywhere, and I don't have a problem with them waiting a year to do the Rock and Roman thing, but Chris, if your idea ends with Roman winning at WrestleMania against Cody, I'm not on board, brother. It has been 3.5. It has been over 3.5 years. I'm ready for that to be done. Because I mean, we can go a whole. I myself, not just we. I'm sure we all can go longer, but I myself can go another 45 minutes of telling y'all why the World Heavyweight Championship is stupid and it's useless and it's literally there as a consolation prize, and that's why nobody takes it seriously. Because Roman has that title. They literally made that title so they could tell the fans, like, hey, we know you're upset that Roman's had the title for this long, but trust the process. Here's another title. Shut up. And like, some people eat it up, some people don't. I'm not one of those. If your idea ends with Roman winning at WrestleMania, you can count me out, brother. I'm out quicker than Mark Cuban on Shark Tank.
I feel you. Look, I'm what Chris is, though. I feel you, Chase, 100%. And look, I think in the end, you're probably going to be right.
I agree.
But I like the idea of Rock screwing Cody out of the championship. I mean, the way I see it is, his story doesn't have to finish with him winning anything. Your story can come to an end with you not winning anything. Not all stories have happy endings, so I'm good with that. So I don't mind that at all.
Mo, you're gonna get the Cody crybabies up in arms right now.
I didn't say I dislike Cody Rhodes. That's not what I said.
No, you said his story doesn't have to end with him winning anything.
It doesn't. All stories don't end happy.
Gentlemen, I'm going to go a quarter cup of coffee for this segment. I didn't need it. There are a lot of things wrong with it, and I can't give 0 cups of coffee. So I'm going the leftover slosh from the pot the night before.
Absolutely. Put it in the microwave or flip the switch back on.
Oh, God. I have made that mistake rushing out the house, and that is not good coffee.
It is not. It tastes like burnt popcorn. But I'm with Chris. Give me a half a cup, 3/4 of a cup. I take big gulps, guys, so I need at least 3/4 of a cup.
I'm with you. I'm with you. Let's just make it 3 for 3. I was gonna say, could I do a sip? But yeah, I'm fine.
Gentlemen, we're not gonna spend a lot of time on the men's chamber match. There really wasn't much here for me. Going into it, I wasn't looking and thinking this was going to be the highlight of the night. I really thought it was going to be the women's match, and it was. I was a big fan, though, of Logan Paul drawing on his chamber wall. I thought that was hilarious. Logan Paul, just some of the little things that he does, and I just find humorous. I find he does things that are a little off the beaten path that work for his character, and I think this was another example of it. Yeah, there were some big spots in the men's match. I think we all kind of knew where it was going, so I'm not going to spend too much time here. For me, it was 2.5 cups of coffee. I'm happy for Drew. I knew that's kind of where we were going, but it wasn't anything spectacular for me, Chase.
I agree. I mean, it was nothing, nothing, too grand. We knew where they were going. Drew has been very vocal about being upset about his position in the company.
Yep.
I feel like this is their way of saying like, hey, we're gonna give you an opportunity to see if you can run with it. Gene just pointed it out. Since Drew has turned heel, his work has been phenomenal. I love watching him. I knew it would come down to Drew and Orton. I didn't see the Logan Paul hitting Randy Orton coming. I didn't see that at all. I thought maybe we were building to another, which I'm happy about. I'm super happy about, because I thought we were building to another match between KO and Logan Paul at WrestleMania, and I'm not interested in that feud. I'm a huge KO fan. But I do want to do something really, really quick. Because I'll go 2.5 cups of coffee on this match. Logan Paul. He just gets it, man. He gets it. He's not, he's super athletic. So he hasn't looked too horrible. And one of my very favorite wrestlers, John Hennigan, who is known to WWE fans as like Johnny Nitro, John Morrison, Johnny, different last name, no matter where he goes. He did an interview with Chris Van Vliet, and he said, if I got one-on-one time with Shawn Michaels every day, I'd be really, really good too. I think the biggest issue with Logan Paul is people just don't understand that when you were young and if you put a camera on us and you put us on the internet in front of thousands of people, I would like to think the majority of us are anywhere between the ages of 34 to 40. Would that be correct? Mo, you don't have to age yourself if you don't want to. But back then when we all did this stupid stuff, we didn't have a camera. We didn't have the internet to upload it for thousands of people to see. I promise you, if you did, I would be one of the most heinous individuals you've ever met in your entire life, according to some people's standards. And, so I think that trying to judge somebody who's helped this business by putting more eyes on it and by doing his due diligence to, he's not just coming in here and collecting a paycheck. He's putting in the work. So I think that at some point people are going to have to let go of something that kid did 12, 15 years ago and say, okay, yeah, when he was a kid, and say, okay, like now, it's okay to congratulate him or to give him praise for something he's done here. And he helped this match a lot, because while the match was good, it was very predictable. You looked at all these guys and you go, okay, who's going to face Seth? It's obvious it's Drew. Yeah. It was Drew to begin with. So yeah, I'll give this match, what I say, 2.5.
2.5.
I'll give it 3.
Ooh, finishing that third cup of coffee.
Nice.
Yep.
Where are you at, Mo?
I'll give it 2.5. I did enjoy it. And I thought the ending, obviously, does that now set up that Orton will be feuding with Logan Paul and trying to take away his U.S. championship or something to that nature. And I thought that could be interesting as well. That could be an interesting feud. Although, as I watched the match, the way some competitors went out, I thought, where does this leave a guy like Bobby Lashley going forward? Where is he at in his career? Because it seems like he's kind of in that odd spot, that wrestling purgatory, where he's still a big name. the guy still looks ripped. I mean, he's still put together, but he doesn't have an opposition. Who do you match him up against? I feel like he's gonna get lost in the shuffle. And it might sound like disrespect to him because he's had success as a singles competitor. Maybe his future, and I'm sure he doesn't want to hear it, is as a tag team wrestler.
It's funny because even the announce team, Chase and Mo, kind of took a shot at Lashley because they talked about the primetime players and they talked about how, Lashley said, hey, hook up with me and I'll take you to the promised land. And Corey Graves is like, but he hasn't delivered. So even like the announce team is basically acknowledging the fact that his current storyline with his current group isn't really going anywhere, which risky proposition because we all know it. But when you're acknowledging it on the broadcast that Lashley's kind of stuck in the water, you're kind of like, okay, we just want to break down the fourth wall and acknowledge that Lashley's not going anywhere. I was okay with the Chase, but again, I feel like this is what happens to Lashley. He gets a push, he kind of takes like 2 steps forward, he gets stuck in the mud, and he's right back where he is.
Yeah, the worst thing they did was take MVP away from him. And which is crazy because MVP is literally doing nothing right now. He's supposed to manage Omos.
Omos, yeah.
Yeah, but Omos is supposed to be like an attraction, right? At least that's what they tried to tell us last year. He's not on Raw, he's not on SmackDown. He's a special attraction. So are we only going to see Omos twice a year, 3 times a year? And are we only going to see MVP twice or 3 times a year? Because if that's the case, let's go ahead and stick MVP back with Bobby Lashley.
Right.
And let that flourish. I feel bad for him. I know this isn't part of the match and this isn't part of the show that we're talking about, but the poor guy has like him and Karrion Kross, man. What an absolute way, like
all that talent.
And like, here's what sucks. I love Karrion Kross. Love Karrion Kross. But when Karrion Kross re-debuted, nobody cared. Nobody gave a flying flip.
Zero.
That Karrion Kross was back. And it's the same thing. It's like Karrion Kross brought back Rob Ellering, Hall of Famer, and with that tag team AOP.
No one cared.
Nobody cares. Nobody cares.
Before we get to the main event, I want to piggyback off your story, Chase. I don't know if you saw this interview with Logan Paul. He talked about the incident from his youth, but he talked about it in the focus of The Rock. So he talked about how about a year prior to Japan, him and The Rock became friends. He talked about how he did some side projects with The Rock. He talked about how he appeared 4 or 5 times. The Rock appeared in his videos 4 or 5 times. They were exchanging communications on a monthly basis. And then Japan happens, and The Rock's people reached out to Logan Paul and said, hey, we need you to remove everything with The Rock's name in it. Take down the videos, take down the photos. We need you to erase Rock from your social media. The Rock didn't reach out to Logan Paul. The Rock's people reached out to Logan Paul. And then The Rock didn't reach out to Logan Paul for years. For the better part of a decade, The Rock did not reach out to Logan Paul until Logan Paul started his current deal with WWE. And then out of the blue, The Rock just shot him a message congratulating him for his success with WWE, just like a generic paragraph, which Logan Paul said at the time that I still haven't responded to. Because how are you going to do that? How are you, when I'm at my lowest low, you're going to have your people reach out to me and say, I can't be seen with you. And then and Logan even said, he goes, I didn't need The Rock to be my friend. I didn't need that. What I was hoping was he would reach out and just check in. Just, behind the scenes, that no one's got to know about it. Just, hey, I see what's going on. Maybe offer some advice. Maybe just say, you can get through it. Some words of wisdom. And Logan said none of that happened. I literally didn't hear from him for a better part of a decade until after I joined WWE, and then the message comes. And I think that's telling on all parts. I think that's telling on Logan's part to say that, he wasn't looking for someone to get him out the situation. And maybe at the time he was, right? Maybe in the middle of it, Japan, Logan might have been looking for a way out. But 10 years later, Logan, as he reflects back on it, he looks at it and says, I just wanted someone to kind of say, hey, you're going to find a way through this. And I thought it was very telling for him to be like, no, I haven't replied to him, because if you couldn't be there for me then, why the hell are you there for me now? And I'm curious how you guys feel about it. For me, I thought it was a very telling conversation, a very raw conversation from Logan, and kind of gives you more insight into where he is as a human being. Because again, everyone just has their assumptions, like Chase said, based on a very poor choice that he made when he was younger, and that we're just going to keep that and carry that with us. I think that interview was very revealing as to who he actually is currently as a human being.
I agree. I remember him talking about that on his podcasts, and he got super emotional.
Yep.
Because he was like, hey, like, this is who I looked up to, and now he won't talk to me. But on the other side of that coin, when you have as big of a, like, do I think that The Rock thinks that we should pay to help Maui out of our own pocket? Or do I think that Oprah Winfrey and her team got together with The Rock and was like, hey, let's put out a video to start a GoFundMe for the people of Maui? And he was like, man, that sounds like a really good idea. It sounds like a good idea. But when you have that much eyes on you, you have to be careful about that stuff. And especially when it's your people. Like, I get Logan's point of it, of like, hey, I wish he would have reached out. I wish he would have said something. But, if at the time you're a multi-platform star like The Rock, Hollywood, sports, everything, Rock was everywhere. Fast and the Furious 25, whatever it was.
Yep.
And you get all these people that tell you, like, hey, don't do this, don't be seen with this person. I think it's a double-edged sword. Like, yeah, it's like I felt Logan's emotion when he was telling the story, but at the same time, just like you were in a place at that time, like you need to understand where he was at that time. And
business is business.
Exactly, business is business. Yeah, exactly. So,
all right, guys, let's go, Mo. Give me your thoughts.
Just real quick, I just thought that you can see the maturity in Logan Paul, and so he's looking back and he's being reflective. What I would say is, I get where Rocket was at the time. We're talking about my brand and how it could affect your brand and all that. I think that maybe in a quiet moment, though, Rock might wish that he had handled it better privately. Like he said, just reached out and said, "Are you okay?" It could be that simple. So I just think all sides look back on it differently, but I think Logan Paul, he's in a different point in his life, and good for him.
Gentlemen, the main event again went as we expected. There was no way Nia Jax was going to beat Rhea Ripley in her hometown for the Women's World Heavyweight Championship. Before we get into it, though, I do want to say this. I want to give my flowers to Nia Jax, because WWE trusted her to be in the main event of this pay-per-view. I understand that it was Rhea's hometown, but if they didn't have faith in Nia, this would not have main evented. This would have been runner-up to the men's Elimination Chamber match. So Nia, and I don't give Nia a lot of credit because she's been a liability in the ring for a very long time, but Nia proved herself leading up to this match. Her in-ring work has improved, and we've seen that on TV. And she was trusted in this spot to not hurt Rhea and to not be reckless in the ring and to deliver a quality match. And she did all those things in spades. So I want to give all the props to Nia, because she is just as much a part of this equation, in my opinion, as Rhea Ripley is. And I also want to give props to Rhea, because she didn't go out there and play the heel knowing she was still going to get cheered. And that's what I alluded to earlier, saying that on this night, Rhea was not a part of Judgment Day. Rhea was completely separate. She was her own entity. And I'm glad that she leaned into that, or she was told to lean into that, or she was allowed to lean into that, or all of the above, because it just worked. She was the classic baby in this match. She had the baby come back. She got the baby beat down. She did everything that a classic babyface would do in this spot, and she did it perfectly. And the crowd ate up every single moment of it. My only critique was I wish that Nia kicked out of the first Riptide so we could see a second one later on. But I was okay with it ending when it ended. But overall, like I said, for a match that was going to be very color by numbers, we knew how it was going to end. I was still very invested in it, Chase, even though I knew exactly where we were going.
Absolutely. You know, and to piggyback off of your point about Nia, you know, anything can happen. So that's why these matches are always so dangerous. You have arguably one of the biggest stars in WWE right now, in Rhea Ripley, going into a title match when you're on the road to WrestleMania. And just like in football, a player walking onto the field can tear an Achilles or tear an ACL. So anything can happen. And, you know, we accidents happen, right? And we've seen WWE like with the gentleman in the Brawling Brutes. I always forget his name. The one who got a bad rap for a while
Yep.
Ridge Holland, where he's, you know, and WWE kept insisting like, hey, these are accidents. These are part of the show. And so it's very shocking to see them still continue with that and still kind of go with that with a star like Rhea Ripley. But I thought Nia Jax did well, and you want somebody like Nia Jax in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
There was no Rock, there was no Roman. This was a big international show. The only way to close this show out, no matter what, the only way to close this show out is with Rhea Ripley. And you wanted somebody who was a big time heel to get big heat and help, and not help, because Rhea didn't need any help. She's in her home country. You know, she don't need the help. But gosh, man, putting her up against somebody like Nia Jax, it sure adds a little extra to it, right? So I thought that was brilliantly done. You know, I'm feeling super generous tonight, gentlemen. You know, I know we'll let Mo go, and you guys can give your cups of coffee or whatever, but I'm going to go ahead and I'll give them. I was thinking about 3 1/4. I'll give them 3.5 cups. Because it ended the show and it was in Rhea's home country, and she was over like Rover, and so yeah, I'll go 3.5. I'm feeling generous. Okay,
I love that. I'm 3.5 as well. I enjoyed the match. I thought Nia Jax might have done one of her best in match performances. I thought she was tremendous. Rhea was terrific. The crowd was so live throughout the entire event. And look, shout out to Australia, because that crowd was, I mean, they were pumped up throughout. WWE did a great job of having a lot of their the talent that was representative of Australia being on the card. I thought that was a good choice. I enjoyed the match throughout. Look, I knew how it was going to end, but that didn't stop me from enjoying it. And I thought both performers, they didn't disappoint.
I'm with you guys. I'm going 3.5 cups of coffee as well. 2 more tidbits. I liked the in-pod cameras that they put on top of the stadium, so you could watch the wrestlers while they're in their pods. And then my one thing that I wish the show did, obviously being in a different country, there were some chants that I just didn't understand because they say different things in Australia. So I wish at one point we knew exactly what they were saying so I could fully appreciate the chant, because they were throwing a couple at Dom, and I'm sure they were inappropriate, but I'm also sure they were hilarious. And I just wanted to know what they were calling Dom,
Right.
but I couldn't quite understand it. And I was hoping that like Corey Graves would be like, they're calling Dom, and he didn't do it. So I was really upset with, I guess I'm upset with Corey Graves for not telling me what some of the chants were. Just
Corey
so I
Chop.
could, Right. Just so I could fully appreciate them a little more. But guys, for a show that was predictable, for a show that was lacking two of the biggest stars in the biggest storyline that's happening in the company right now, it wasn't terrible. I thought it was cool. I'm a big Triple H guy. I thought it was cool to see Triple H out there, even if he was giving fake attendance numbers. I'm okay with that. Anytime I can see Triple H, I feel good about it. But yeah, 41 days, gentlemen. We are 41 days away from WrestleMania, in which we're going to have back-to-back episodes of Coffee and Kayfabe as we go on after night 1 and night 2 of WrestleMania. We'll see what the next 41 days hold. Is it going to be how Chase is predicting? Are we going to see Rock Cody night 1 potentially and Rock Roman night 2? Are they going to give me my wish and play this out for a little bit longer? We'll see. We always end the show with our overall rating for the show. Like I said, it was predictable. I'm just going to go 2 cups. Even though it was predictable, I like the performances of the show, but it's hard to get past the show where you kind of know what all the outcomes are going to be, and you kind of walk away going, I watched for 3 hours and everything that I thought was going to happen happened. But I'm going to go 2 cups because I like the moments, even though the outcomes were predictable. Chase, where are you at?
So I can't go 3 cups.
No.
Again, nothing should ever be 5 cups of coffee, right? Because if something's 5 cups of coffee, it's perfect, and you don't need to drink any more coffee, right?
That's right.
So 3 is such a strong spot, so I can't go 3. But I feel like 2 is a little low. Listen, to take the old adage, they turn chicken shit into chicken salad. You look at the previous 2 international premium live events that they've done, other than the Saudi shows. You look at Clash at the Castle, you look at Backlash in Puerto Rico. Those shows were hot. Those shows had great cards. This show was hot, but it didn't have a great card, in my opinion. So I can't go higher than 2.5. I want to be generous, like I was with the main event, but I can't go higher than 2.5. So I'm going to stick at 2.5. We'll just stay there. 2.5 cups of coffee for this show.
Close us out here, Mo. How cups you going?
I'm going 2.5. Look, it had some lag, but you know what? For the 3 hours I sat there and watched it.
That's right.
I sat there and watched it. I didn't get up. I didn't walk away. I was entertained. I'm going 2.5.
As always, we appreciate everyone who watched us this morning. It's weird, you know. It was overseas. Our schedules were a little off. I have no concept of Australian time. I thought this was happening this morning. Like, I was literally telling the guys, we're going to watch it Sunday morning. And then there I am Saturday morning. Like, why am I seeing replays of what happened at Elimination? Oh, it already happened. Jesus Christ. So I know nothing about Australian time. So I screwed up the entire schedule. But WrestleMania, we know where it's going to be. It's going to be in Eastern Standard Time. I promise you, we'll be back to being on minutes after the show ends. So again, thank you to everyone who was in the chat this morning. Thank you to everyone who was watching live. If you don't do so already, please follow us on TikTok, Coffee and Kayfabe. And we're going to see all of you in 41 days after WrestleMania Night 1. On behalf of myself and Chase and Mo, this is Coffee and Kayfabe, and we'll see all of you in 41 days.